Two. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome Billy Lowe with City Church, who will lead us in tonight's invocation.
Thank you. Let's pray. Father, we first want to thank you that we live in a safe city that is led by people with integrity, and we ask that you would give them wisdom and guidance as they continue to lead this city well. Lord, we also want to take just a moment and pray for our world and our nation. As things seem to be going on around us that is out of our control, we trust you. We ask that you'd preserve lives. We ask that you would continue to protect people. We ask that you would keep our police and fire and public safety safe. And Lord, continue to do a great work here. Lord, thank you for tonight and all the business that's going to happen. We pray that you'd be honored, and we ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. I would like to call the regular meeting of the Milton City Council for Monday, June 16th, 2025 to order. The city encourages you to review tonight's agenda carefully. Each citizen who chooses to participate in public comment must complete a comment card and submit it to the city clerk prior to the agenda item being called. While the Milton rules allow a speaker to turn in their comment card up until the clerk calls the agenda item, once the agenda item is called, no more comment cards can be accepted. Will the city clerk please call the roll and make general announcements?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Be happy to call roll for the June 16th, 2025 regular meeting. I would like to remind those in attendance to please silence all cell phones at this time. As the mayor mentioned, if you would like to make a public comment, you are required to complete a public comment card prior to the agenda item being called. All speakers will identify themselves with name, address, and or organization before beginning your comment. Demonstration of any sort within the chamber is prohibited. Please refrain from any applause, cheering, booing, outbursts, or dialogue with any person speaking. Anyone in violation may be asked to leave. Mayor and Council, as I call roll this evening, please confirm your attendance. Mayor Peyton Jamison.
Here.
Councilmember Doug Haney.
Here.
Councilmember Juliette Johnson.
Here.
Councilmember Carol Cookley.
Here.
Councilmember Jan Jacobus.
Present.
And Councilmember Phil Kramer.
Here.
For the record, Councilmember Andrea Veerhoff is absent. Mayor, you do have a quorum. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next is approval of the meeting agenda. I would like to make two amendments. I would like to add an executive session to discuss personnel, land acquisition, and litigation. And I would also like to move new business item number 25-158 to immediately follow the consent agenda. Do I have a motion on the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, make a motion, we approve agenda item number 25-148 as amended.
Second.
Can I just interrupt? Can you just repeat that, Councilmember Group? It's 158. Let's just, for the record, just so I can have that on recording. Not
Oh, this
148.
is a misprint? Okay.
Has 148 on here.
It
Just
should be
say-
158.
Okay.
Wait, let me just double check. That might be let me just. Yes, because it's 158.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yes.
you want me to just reread it?
Just
Okay.
reread that.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion, we approve agenda item number 25-158 as amended.
Well done.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilor Cookerly and a second from Councilor Jacobus to approve the meeting agenda as amended. The voting's open.
That's why I did that way.
I don't see my screen.
It's up now.
Oh, it's up?
We're good.
Okay, that motion passes unanimously. Okay, next is general public comment. Do we have any general public comment?
We do not, Mayor, not
Okay.
tonight.
Okay, so I will waive the public comment rules and I will ask if you will please call the next item, which is a consent agenda.
Mayor, we're going to move right into the consent agenda. And that first item is going to be approval of the June 2nd, 2025 regular city council meeting minutes, agenda item number 25-149. Our next item is B, approval of services agreement with Avalon Motor Coaches LLC to provide bus transportation for Milton summer camp field trips. Agenda item number 149. Our next item is RPA Music in the Beehive, approval of a recreation provider agreement between the City of Milton and Music in the Beehive LLC to provide recreational music classes for toddlers. Agenda item number 25-150. Our next item is approval of a recreation provider agreement between the City of Milton and Rush Union Soccer to provide recreational adult soccer programming. Agenda item number 25151. Next is approval of a recreation provider agreement between the City of Milton and Newtown Recreation, Inc. is doing business as North Georgia Recreation to provide youth boys lacrosse programming. Agenda item number 25152. Our next item is approval of a recreation provider agreement between the City of Milton and Eagle Sticks Atlanta LLC to provide youth girls lacrosse programming. Agenda item 25153. Our next item is approval of a professional services agreement between the City of Milton and Terramark Land Surveying for surveying services to support replacement of a box culvert downstream headwall at Providence Lake Drive. It's agenda item number 25154. Our next item is approval of a construction services agreement between the City of Milton and Lanyap Development Company for the Heritage Walk Speed Table construction. Agenda item number 25155. Our final consent agenda item is approval of subdivision plats and revisions. The first development is Mustafa Elahi at 13140 Arnold Mill Road, Land Lot 1018, District 2, Section 2. It's a minor plat for large lots to subdivide the property into 4 lots ranging in size from 3.03 to 4.81 acres for a total of 13.92 acres and a density of 0.28 lots per acre. The second development is Robert Moore at 13355 Arnold Mill Road, Land Lot 945 and 1000, District 2, Section 2. It's a minor plat to combine the 2 existing lots into one large tract, a total of 19.02 acres. Our third development is Charles Roberts at 13545 Freemanville Road, Land Lot 885, 886, 915, and 916. A minor plat to enlarge existing Lot 1 per PB 470 page 6 PG.65 to include property acquired by Charles S. Roberts from Freemanville Road Investors LLC. Existing Lot 2 of PB 433 PG at 18 shall remain unchanged. It's a total of 22.97 acres. Our fourth development is Freemanville Road Investors LLC at 13675 Freemanville Road. It's land lot 885. It's a minor plat to combine 2 existing parcels to one parcel, a total of 10.66 acres. Our fifth development is Providence Road Investors Subdivision at 14050 Providence Road, land lot 843, 885, and 886, a minor plat to enlarge the existing lot 1 per the PB at 470 page 119 to include property acquired by Providence Road Investors LLC from Freemanville Road Investors LLC. The existing lots 2 and 3 shall remain unchanged, a total of 12.07 acres. Our sixth development is the Bird Track at 15675 Row Road, land lot 418 and 419, a minor plat. The purpose of this plat is to subdivide one parcel of land into 3 large lots. Lot sizes range from 5.87 acres to 8.833 acres. 8.33 acres, let me just correct that, with a total of 21.46 acres and a density of 0.14 lots per acre. It is agenda item number 25156, and that concludes consent agenda. Mayor Jamison?
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
Second?
All right, I have a motion from Councilmember Haney and a second from Councilmember Jacobus to approve the consent agenda items. Voting is now open. All right, that motion passes unanimously. All right, we will now move on to the moved new business item. Will the city clerk please sound that item?
Mayor, that item is consideration of a resolution appointing or reappointing members to the City of Milton Sustainability Advisory Committee by appointing a board member for District 1, Post 2, and District 2, Post 2. It's agenda item number 25158. Mayor Jamison?
Thank you. We're going to vote on this under one. We have two appointees. We're going to do one motion at the end. But I will first turn it over to Councilmember Cookerly to introduce her appointment.
Hi, John Murphy? There you are. Hello. Good evening again. Nice to see you. It's my privilege to offer John Murphy's nomination for the Sustainability Committee. John has been a proud resident of Milton for 22 years, following a career in the medical industry, which he recently retired to focus more fully on his business, Redwood Commercial LLC, which he founded. His early experience working in his hometown's public works department during college sparked a lasting interest in local government, and that led him to complete our Citizens Government Academy, which he did in April, that deepened his knowledge on how to support the city of Milton and its residents. Time well spent, right, John? In 2021, John and his wife Sherry built their current home in Milton, a process that gave them valuable insight into the importance of collaboration between City Hall and local property owners. A U.S. Army veteran, John is committed to community service. He actively volunteers with Hire Heroes USA, organization I know a little bit about. Thank you. The USO at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, and the Georgia chapter of the Multiple Sclerosis Society. Now, if he's not busy enough, listen to this. In his free time, he enjoys exercising, road biking, and maintaining his property. The Murphys have been married for 34 years and are proud parents of 3 adult children and just recently welcomed their first grandchild, Logan. The Murphys are members of St. Peter Chanel Catholic Church, or Channel Catholic Church, sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Cookerly. I think he will be a fine addition. And I will turn it over to Councilmember Haney to nominate his appointee.
Excellent. Thank you. So I'd like to nominate the appointment of Patty Swan to the Milton Sustainability Committee. Patty presented to us a few weeks ago. You may remember she gave a glowing review of the city after going through the Citizens Government Academy. She sounded more like she was giving a State of the City address than presenting anything else. And immediately I was like, man, we got to find a way to get her involved. Love her, her energy, her excitement over this city. So grateful, Patty. She's been a resident of Milton since December of 2006. She brings over 30 years of experience in sales, marketing, and most importantly, customer service. In addition to her professional background, she's an active community volunteer, contributing her time to the Milton Police Department and her local homeowners association. Outside of her volunteer work, she enjoys golfing, gardening, and maintaining an active lifestyle by power walking at least 8 miles a week. You should probably maybe put her on the Trails Committee. She has an adult son who lives in Forsyth County and who works in medical sales. So I'm grateful that I can nominate Patty to the Sustainability Committee.
Yep, I think it's fantastic. Both Patty and John just graduated our Citizens Government Academy, and y'all have been wonderful ambassadors to the city, and we're looking forward to what y'all have to do in the future. So thank you very much for stepping forward. Do we have any public comment?
We do not, sir.
Okay, with that, I will open it for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to appoint John and Patty to the Milton Sustainability Advisory Committee.
Second?
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Cranmer and a second from Councilmember Johnson to approve the appointments of John and Patty to the Milton Sustainability Advisory Committee. The motion or the voting's open. Okay, that passes unanimously. Congratulations. Hard to speak today. With that, I will swear you in, and hopefully I can pronounce all these words. We'll see.
And John, I'll have you, if you do it more, a little bit closer into the count. There you go.
Get over here, he says.
Okay, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear and affirm
I do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will faithfully perform the duties of
that I will faithfully perform the duties of
the Milton Sustainability Advisory Committee of the city,
the Sustainability Advisory Committee of the city,
and that I will support and defend the charter thereof,
support and defend the charter thereof,
as well as the Constitution
as well as the Constitution
and the laws of the state of Georgia
and the laws of the state of Georgia
and the United States of America.
and the United States of America.
Congratulations.
Okay, can I make it official? There you
Thank
go.
you, John. I appreciate it very much. Welcome aboard. Thanks for doing this. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Appreciate your service.
And we'll do a picture next time.
Thank you.
And John, I'm going to have you sign. It's good to see you very much.
Don't slide around.
Stand up.
It's good. Come on.
Come on. then.
Yep. you're gonna sign right there.
Picture time.
Thank you very much.
My wife says to me that.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Good, thank you.
Congratulations. Al.
Hi, thank you.
Okay, we will now move on to reports and presentations. Will the city clerk please sound the first item?
Mayor, that first item is going to be recognition of the Milton Arts Council Scholarship Award recipients. Mayor Jamison?
Thank you. The Milton Arts Council is a nonprofit organization committed to supporting and promoting local artists by providing opportunities for engagement and advocacy, as well as showcasing their talents throughout the city. A key part of this mission is fostering the growth of young artists, which includes the annual awarding of the Hogan Family Arts Scholarships. These scholarships are presented to select high school seniors who either reside in or attend school in Milton and plan to pursue a degree in the arts, an accredited college or university. And I'm especially excited that we're now presenting this honor before City Council, allowing us to publicly recognize these recipients. So with that, I will call Shelley Hogan to the podium.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. May I turn around this way?
Absolutely.
Okay, fantastic. Hi.
If you want to speak in the mic, you can.
Okay.
I can project
There we go.
very well. My name is Shelley Hogan. I'm the president of the Milton Arts Council. If you aren't aware of our council or what we do, the mayor just gave an amazing summary of it, and we'd love for you to kind of talk to me afterward or go to our website, miltonartscouncil.com, and get a little bit more information about it. But one of my favorite parts of the whole year is to give out this scholarship. It is an important part of our mission to encourage young artists of all genres. And I think you'll see with the 4 that we've chosen this year to receive that they do demonstrate a wide breadth of the arts. So what I would like to do is I would like to have each recipient, as I introduce you, just stand at your seat, and then we'll get them all up here at the end for applause and a quick picture. Our first recipient is Emily Deitch. Emily, can you stand up, please? Emily has combined her love of art and theater throughout high school. She was a member of the Milton Theater Company for 4 years, the National Art Honor Society for 2 years, and City Springs Theater Conservatory for 3 years. She has received awards for technical theater as well as visual art. She plans to major in stage management and minor in visual art. Congratulations, Emily. Jake Holly, stand please. Jake is an accomplished musician who was selected to be a member of the Jazz One Ensemble at Cambridge High School on guitar. He also played saxophone in the marching band. Senior year, he joined orchestra playing upright bass and tenor sax. That's 3 in case you're not counting. He was also a member of the pit orchestra for the musical Chicago, playing banjo, mandolin, and ukulele. So basically, if you need a band to play an event, you can pretty much cover it all. He will be majoring in jazz guitar performance. Congratulations. Henry Parker was a member of the Cambridge Bears Network all throughout high school. He has worked on a full-length video reflecting Cambridge's class of 2025's experience. He also collaborated with Ameris Bank Amphitheater employees to broadcast the 2024 graduation ceremony and operated their camera equipment. He films a variety of school sports and was a member of the Ockles Art Academy, where he developed skills in 8 different types of media. He plans to major in digital media production. Congratulations. Avery Shorty. Avery was a member of the Milton Theater Company and has participated in 16 different theater shows during high school. She also directed a 30-minute play and has participated as a teacher's assistant for an acting class at Milton High School. Helped with the formation of the Milton Film Society. She plans to major in film and digital media with a minor in theater. In Avery's application, she had this one quote that I'd love to read that I think sums up our goal, and all 4 of these kids, I'm sorry, you guys. Art is ubiquitous. It's in the clothes we wear, and the text we read, and the buildings in which we reside. Art impacts the way we view the world. Congratulations. Let's give all 4 of them time.
Y'all come up, we'll take a picture. Congratulations.
While they're coming up and the mayor's coming down, I would like to also take a moment to introduce Bill and Mary Hogan to make this scholarship possible. If y'all could just wave your hand and again, thank you.
Okay, actually, here, can you guys scoot over a little bit? There we go. Center you up. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Perfect, thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay, will the city clerk please sound the next item?
Thank you, Mayor. That next item is a proclamation recognizing Milton Historical Society Friends. And I'd like to introduce Mr. Bill Less to the podium.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you may be aware, the mission of the Milton Historical Society is to preserve our local history and heritage. In the 8 years since our inception, we have assembled local family histories, libraries, artifacts, and have striven to educate through public presentations. Most visible of our efforts, however, have been to preserve structures. Earlier this year, the Milton Historical Society created the Preservationist Award to be presented to a person or persons in the community who have exhibited an exemplary effort to preserve a significant element of our history. This past spring, the first award was presented to our own Carol Cookerly and her husband, Robert Beal, for their commitment to preserve and restore the Double Branch Courthouse on their property. The second award went to Charlie and Sarah Roberts for their financial support of that very same project. Tonight, we are here to recognize and celebrate the generous donation of the McConnell Chadwick House and adjoining property by Mr. Larry Chadwick to the citizens of Milton, Georgia. The city has already taken steps to stabilize the structure and are heading on a plan for its restoration and its future repurpose and use for all citizens of the city of Milton. So at this time, and on behalf of the Milton Historical Society and several members, board members that are here tonight, Mr. Chadwick. And this award reads, it's a Preservationist Award to Larry Chadwick in honor of his donation of the McConnell Chadwick House to the city of Milton, Georgia, 2018, 2025. It's been a long road, but we got there.
We got there. Thank you. Thank you. Just a little bit. I was privileged to grow up in the shadow of the McConnell Chadwick House. It belonged to the Chambly family, and we were very fortunate that my father bought it because the Chambleys would have never agreed on anything. And so Dad bought it, but it was always our intentions and dreams that it would belong to the people of this area. At the time, of course, that was unincorporated Fulton County. But now we're very happy that the city of Milton has it. So thank y'all. I appreciate this. Thank you very much.
And to carry on this story, I'd like to introduce Joan Borzolari, a member of our board, to tell the ongoing story of this project.
Very good. Okay, Mayor, City Council, and friends. I first met Larry Chadwick 8 or 9 years ago when we were working on the Milton historical markers. And we were over at the McConnell Chadwick House out in front, and I'm looking at it, and we're talking about how to do the documentation to install the marker. And we had a couple of options, one-sided, two-sided, on a post on the building, blah, blah. Well, Larry thought it would be nice if we had it posted on the building. So I'm looking at the building, which even at that time needed extensive repairs, and I'm thinking, I think that the marker is going to outlast the building. So we put the marker on a post out in front. Anyway, it has been a long road. I just wanted to do a little bit of recapping and thanking the people who had a lot to do working behind the scenes for the last 6 or 7 years after the markers were installed and the Historical Society came across some of the places that really were in need of help. First of all, Larry was really good about maintaining the house for decades, and this included multiple patchings of the roof and bush hogging the whole, yard, taking down trees, etc. There are a lot of people that helped. Larry offered his help along and encouragement along the way. He shared family documents, photos, and information. He wanted to make sure that if the building was restored and preserved, that it not be just a monument, but it needed to be something that was a working, usable building, some type of adaptive reuse. We formed then the Chadwick House Preservation Committee. I'm just going to name some of the folks who were instrumental in that. Bill Lusk, the Alpharetta and Old Milton County Historical Society President Pat Miller, who's here. Pat, raise your hand. Very good. Jim Ferris, Carl Jackson, Bob Gamble was our architectural historian, and he was the one who lit the fire underneath all of us, because he came up to me at a meeting and he said, on Route 140, I don't know anything about this except what the marker says, but it is a fantastic example of Greek Revival architecture, which is considered high style for all the farmhouses around here. And so we enlisted his help, and he has been our go-to for anything architectural. Larry Vogt, many of these people do not live in Milton. Larry Vogt is an author and a historian. He has done LIDAR ground penetration of Fort Buffington area. Michael Wren, who's another at the national level, an authority on the Cherokee removal. We also had a cleanup crew in 2023, including John Morley, the Cronks who are here, Byron Foster. And then we also wanted to recognize Connie Mashburn. In addition to Pat Miller is our genealogy guru. She keeps track of all the begats in the whole area. Connie Mashburn he's raising his hand, good. He's the Alpharetta City historian. He's our go-to guy for information on any old stuff. And he's been Larry Chadwick's bestie since fourth grade. In addition, the city accepting the offer is wonderful. We've been working extensively with Sarah Leaders, David Bergmeyer, and Jim Ivy. Jim is the guy who comes over with the key and lets us into the house when somebody has to go through it. We achieved statewide recognition in 2023 when we were named to the Georgia Trust Places in Peril for the McConnell Chadwick House. And this led to a number of opportunities, including the Georgia Trail of Tears Association awarded us the 2024 Volunteer of the Year Award for our preservation efforts on behalf of the house. And they also encouraged us to help make the house a Cherokee removal interpretive site, which is one of the adaptive reuses we might have. Our journey has really just begun. A brief update on noteworthy activities just this year. On the National Register, we have a second preliminary application out for review among our stakeholders and hope to have it submitted to the Department of Community Affairs soon. This time we are just applying under C architecture with the help of Bob Gamble. The first go around, they didn't like anything that we submitted, and we tried to throw mud against the wall and apply under 4 criteria, but we couldn't make a good case for really any of them. So now we're just going back under architecture with a lot more research. Last fall, we were contacted by the Georgia Trust and introduced to Swathi Jayakumar, graduate student at Georgia State in Historic Preservation. She chose the McConnell Chadwick House for her capstone project. She's been a delight to work with and made multiple trips to the house with 2 of her professors. She and Professor Keller did 3D scans of the exterior of the house, and she'll demonstrate that tonight with a short presentation. She graduated with her master's degree last month. This semester, we also worked with 2 11th grade students from the Gwinnett School of Mathematics, Science, and Technology. They researched the McConnell Chadwick House and executed a project to assist with preservation efforts in the form of a community-facing survey. And highlights included identifying respondents, demographics, inquiring about possible uses of the house, what the citizens of Milton might like to see, how often they would come and visit, and so forth. We hope that this survey will be used at a later date. We've been meeting with the city staff regularly. At our last meeting, we learned from Rob Del Ross and the city staff about the work of Edward Spittman firm in Section 106 research and other preservation efforts. We were put in touch with the managing director who offered to do pro bono work to help with eligibility for the National Register. In order to really apply for the National Register, which they do as well, it would take a contract and some funding. But she offered to do the pro bono work to help us establish eligibility, which would be nice for grants and let's see, and also it helps to protect a little bit. GDOT can do pretty much what they want, but it helps to protect a lot as a cultural resource against road widening, which we're looking at for the Arnold Mill area. And now future efforts, we hope to begin, now that the city owns the property, to apply for extra funding in terms of grants and other help. So that's what I have, and now we'll ask Carl Jackson to come up and say a few words about his experience with the house.
Thank you, Joan. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. You know, you live in a special place when people come together to do really great things. There are not many things that we have from our historical perspective that we have to save here other than the people and, you know, the community issues. But occasionally there's that special structure. And tonight I want to thank a couple of people here. First of all, to our mayor, Mayor Jameson. I was there in the meeting room when the mayor turned to Larry Chadwick and said, he said, "So would you like to donate it?" And Larry said, well, yeah, that's why we're here. So that was a special moment because we've been working literally for a couple of years at that point. So Mayor, thank you for what you did, your leadership, and
your look at the future to save our past. I also want to thank too, Larry, working with you. And I know it, when you give, that's part of your heart and soul and part of your life that you gave. It's more than just a structure. So the Historical Society really wants to thank you for that. Also, I want to thank the team that's here. Joan went through all of that. This has been a labor of love. Mayor, it's pretty much like we talked earlier, that when you cross those boundaries and our city borders and come into Milton, it looks different than anything else around us, okay? Whether it's the creeks that you drive over with the signs that, identify now, what those waterways are. But something out on 140 was missing. One side's Roswell, the other side's Milton. It's kind of a mishmash out there. But that house on that hill is going to be our signature for that gateway into the city. So Mayor, thank you. Thanks to the council for your support. And thank you to the staff for all that they've done for us. At this time, I'd like to have Swarthy come up and talk a little bit about her project. I think she's got a really neat set of slides to show you.
It's just a few delays coming. There it is.
Imagine a house that had been stood for nearly 2 centuries, weathering the changes of time, yet still holding stories of Georgia's early days. The McKenna Chadwick House is that house, a symbol of resilience, but now need for our help. My name is Swadhi Kumar. As a part of my master's in heritage preservation, I had the honor to study this historical property, documenting its challenges and propose a way to ensure its survival. Beyond his historical value or his architectural style, this house can be used as a community treasure, a museum, showcasing local history, culture, and space for education and engagement. Preserving the house is not just about the past, it's about creating a resource for the future. The repairs will transform it into space that engage the community and ensure the visitors educate, celebrate our heritage. As you can see the images, there is a damages and material loss in roof, cladding, and foundation that make it in a poor condition. Missing sections in the cladding, broken windows, and allowing the water to intrude into the building, which accelerate the deterioration of the interior. And this is the inside. It's continued with collapsed ceilings, damage in floors, weakened the trim works and all. But here the key is to address the exterior first. That will stop the water intrusion and save the interior features before we lost it. So the rehab start with stabilization, sealing the roof, repairing the cladding, and securing the foundation. This effort will prevent further damage and create a stabilized base for the future preservation. And these are some illustrations that showing if we do the wall cladding and roof and foundation clearly, we can save the building to an extent. Let me show you a 3D laser scanning. This is the current condition of the house. It shows the damages in the missing material loss and everything. As you can see, a lot of windows are broken. The foundation have some damages, need to be pointed. And yes, compare current condition of the building. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, everybody. So with that, I'm honored to read a proclamation expressing the city's gratitude to Larry Chadwick for generously donating the historic McConnell Chadwick House property. Whereas Larry Chadwick and his family have positively impacted our community in many ways, including their generous donation of the historic McConnell Chadwick property to the city. And whereas Chadwick has been an admired figure dating back to his days at Milton High School, when he was president of the class of 1959, a 4-sport varsity letter winner, band member, newspaper editor, and voted most popular by his peers. And whereas the old Milton High is also where Larry met Sandra Wilson, then homecoming queen, and now his beloved wife of over 6 decades and mother of their children, Christy and Neil. And whereas the family has long called North Fulton County home, most of the time living along Arnold Mill Road, where Larry began running the cash register as a tween at the Chadwick store, which is, it's like 12, 13, 11, a once local feed and seed store and gathering spot. And whereas Larry has been an integral, influential part of the community, including a 50-plus year member and former Grand Master of Hickory Flat Masonic Lodge number 205 and member of the Crabapple Baptist Church for over 30 years. And whereas his sincere, selfless commitment to this area is evidenced in the decision to seed potential profits by working closely with the Milton Historical Society and donating the McConnell Chadwick House to the city of Milton. And whereas his noble, altruistic act allows for the preservation of this significant property and its history for generations to come. Now, therefore, we, the mayor and the city council of the city of Milton, express our heartfelt gratitude to Larry Chadwick and his family for their generosity and dedication to preserving our area's history. And this is given under my hand and seal of the city of Milton, Georgia, on the 16th day, June of 2025. Thank you, Larry. Love to have all of y'all come up and we'll take a picture and give you the proclamation.
Hello, how are you? I sent a picture of you.
Historical Society?
Yeah,
I think that's what he wanted.
nice to talk to you.
You good? Whole Historical Society, y'all want to come up? We'll do one with Larry and maybe one with everybody. That's good. You want? Yeah. Larry says bring them all up. Let's go. All.
You're good.
How you doing? Doing well? Oh, is he? I'll check in with him. I talked to him about a month ago.
We're gonna squeeze in tight here. Good. Come on. All right. Fourth grade, y'all sitting next together, fourth grade?
You ready? 3, 2.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Okay, will the city clerk please say on the next item?
Mayor, our next item is going to be the discussion of changes to UDC Figure 10.7.3.A, the Milton Trail Blueprint, and it's being presented by Mr. Rob Del Russ.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Give me a second while I pull up the presentation. There we go. Tonight's item is just a discussion on potential changes to UDC Section 1073A. It's the City Trails Blueprint Map. We've been working on this with our volunteers from the Milton Trails Advisory Committee for about a year and a half now. There's been lots of discussion, lots of questions and answers and dialogue. So real quickly, before I move any further, wanted to thank our 2 committee members that we have in the audience, Brian Maloney and John Lundstedt. A lot of hard work has been put into what I'm going to be sharing with you tonight. Talk about a little bit of the background and purpose of the map in the first place, why it's there and what it does. And then I'll go through the proposed modifications, share with you some of the public input that we've gotten to date, and then launch into any questions you may have. Why is the map there and what does it do? Originally, the map was adopted in 2007 as our trails plan. It's been modified and adopted twice since that point. The current map you see on the screen on the right, that was in place in 2017. And then the most recent efforts in 2020 created the document I have in my hand. This is the led by a group of volunteers, the Community Trail Prioritization Plan. What the prioritization plan did was try and digest this and prioritize the entire city with recommending some tiers as far as tier 1. You've heard us, Sarah and I, talk about tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 for Deerfield, for Crabapple area for a long time. We're very fortunate over the past 5 years that we've made a lot of progress on that trail prioritization plan and the priorities that came out of that 2020 effort. But as you see on the map on the right, and as you'll see in the later graphic, we still have a long ways to go to build that entire trail network as it's included in the code. The map itself, primary purpose is to change a sidewalk into a trail. And what I mean by that is that it does not define exactly where a private development is required to build a sidewalk. That's in a different section of the code. What this map does is when a sidewalk is required, it makes it a wider sidewalk or a trail. The actual sidewalk section of the code is not up for discussion tonight, but just for your information, it's in section 10.6. Real quickly, it's any segment that's within a half a mile of an active park or a school or in the form-based code areas is when private developers are required to build a sidewalk along their frontage. Again, this is an aspirational plan. We've tried to press that to the public. Whenever we talk about this, this is not committing the city to funding any of these segments. It's not saying that one segment is more important than the other. It's just a document primarily used in two different ways. To guide development and tell them when they are required to build a trail instead of a sidewalk, and to help us in T-SPLOST discussions, primarily when we're looking for the next batch of trails that we'd like to fund. Big change since this map was last discussed. 2020, we began acquiring land as part of the green space effort. So the passive park properties that we've purchased since then, none of those properties were incorporated and thought about the last time we looked at this map. MTAC, as reformed by you in 2023, really wanted to tackle this blueprint update as their first major initiative. It's taken a little while to get to you, but here we are tonight. And the map you see tonight was passed unanimously by their committee several months ago. The map you see on the screen are the changes that we'd like to talk about tonight. Everything you see in blue is currently in the code. Everything you see in pink are changes as recommended by the committee and are the items that we received public input on that I'm about to share with you. We had a very robust, great response as far as our public survey that we did back in February of this year, approximately 140 responses. Based on the dispersal of the responses you see on the screen. Unfortunately, with 140 responses, I'm not going to be able to read each of those individually tonight or try and explain to you what was the common response to every one of those questions. We do have that in Excel form. If you'd like to be able to provide that afterwards, contact Sarah and I tomorrow. We'd be glad to provide that for you. We were able to summarize a couple of the key questions, a couple of the most important topics here that I'm about to go into for the slides. First question and a healthy conversation we had with MTAC for a long time is of the proposed additions, A through J, which ones were supported? Which ones did the residents see would provide the most benefit to them, something that they would immediately see and use and generally supported? You'll notice that with 140 responses, we received quite a bit of support for every segment on this list. The most higher numbers being Connection E, New Providence Road, Connection A, Birmingham Road. We saw a lot of responses in that 15 to 25 range. The two that we got the lowest amount were Connection F and G, the segment on one side of Arnold Mill, 140, and then the spur off of Arnold Mill over to the Loch Pawnee Preserve. I'll discuss why we think that's the case here in a second after I go through the next slide. So the next slide, you'll notice that the numbers dropped significantly. These were segments of our 140 responses. Are there any proposed additions that you do not support? You'll notice numbers are very low, but again, you'll see Connection F and G pop up as far as the highest among this list. From staff's perspective, that may be attributed to it being difficult to identify and visualize what benefit and how a trail would look currently along 140. Ultimately, we recommend keeping it on the list primarily because it came out of the adopted Arnold Bill plan from you a couple of months ago. And ultimately, when it comes to the state DOT widening of 140, it's important for us that if we expect them to provide any kind of pedestrian infrastructure, that we're able to point to this document as the sentiment for the will of Milton, and in order to hopefully convince them to build it as part of their project. Let's skip that question real quick. We received many individualized responses for additions, specific roads. There wasn't a lot of consensus across the 140, with the exception of some of the statements we have on the screen. Wanted to read those real quickly and just make sure we're portraying consistent guidance we were getting from our survey. The first bullet's really important to Sarah and I. We received a lot of concern and questions about why one side of the road versus the other, and the idea of should we be impacting a corridor where we have front yards of people homes on one side and backyards of people homes on the other side, and why the left versus the right, or why the north versus the south. And the way we responded to that, and what I want to explain to you tonight, is a line on this map is important from a development perspective, but that doesn't mean that if we ever advance any of these trails into design and funded them and moved into design phase, we would necessarily just focus immediately in on that one side of the road. On a capital project side, we recognize the importance of crossings. We recognize the ability and the importance to get people from one side of the road to the other. So there may be opportunities on any of these segments that advance into design to look at half of the segment on one side, half of the segment on the other side. Based on the length, maybe we introduce one crossing. We're not going to go crazy and do 4 or 5 crossings and skip back and forth, but we're absolutely going to be taking a look at the details of these segments as we move forward, if any of them are ever funded. We received a lot of questions about why are we expanding the network if there are so many good projects on the blueprint that we haven't built already. From staff's perspective, we completely agree. These additions you shouldn't be viewing these additions as an opinion that these have more merit than any of the others. It's just that with the advent of the purchase of the passive parks and with changing dynamics of development over the last 5 to 10 years, these were the segments that our Trails Advisory Committee wanted to add to the blueprint, that we thought each of them had merits. We talked about trail material type quite a bit, the use of gravel and asphalt versus concrete. There's the sentiment that the concrete curb and gutter look is a little bit more urban, may fit better in the form-based code areas, may not be as good of a fit as we move further north into the city. So we've talked about looking at material types and going more towards a gravel or an asphalt texture versus concrete once we get out of the form-based code areas. We also talked a lot about the potential users of the facility. Gravel and bikes is probably not the best mix, along with gravel and golf carts and PTVs that you'd see in the form-based code area, whereas pedestrian use being high and equestrian use being high, that erring more towards that gravel surface. We received a lot of requests and questions about Freemanville Road, specifically asking when we'll be identifying future projects and help for that. The good news is that's one of our 2 corridors that we're looking at right now, as far as the Safe Streets for All grant, looking at road safety, looking at where we have vehicular issues as well as pedestrians, and identifying exactly where the improvements need to be on Freemanville. Last couple bullets, keep Milton rural. Please remember that there are many people that chose to live here with the current conditions, and hurry, these trails need to build faster. That concludes my presentation. Open to any questions you may have. Again, discussion for tonight. Any sentiment from the council we'll be incorporating back into our modifications to change the ordinance over the next couple of months.
Anybody? Councilmember Kramer?
Rob, quick question. I know you guys are all putting a lot of work into the trails, and I appreciate you, staff. I appreciate the committee that's doing a lot of the work. When do we get to the point where we've taken the feedback, we've identified the areas of opportunity, we now internalize what the priorities are, where the funding is going to come from, and what that implementation plan and timeline looks like?
So we're looking into, over the next, I'd say, second half of this year with Milton Trails Advisory Committee. They share your sentiments. We're going to be looking at already programmed existing funding opportunities and identifying with what's already available that doesn't need to be new money, which of those segments on the blueprint may make sense as far as our next project to tackle. The other major shot in the arm as far as delivery goes is going to be the next round of T-SPLOST. So we're looking at starting that discussion for potential T-SPLOST projects probably spring of next year. Finalizing that project list in summer of next year with ultimately, if the elected bodies of all the cities decide, that would be on the referendum in November of 2026.
Okay. Thank you. It just feels for me, it would be good to get to that point sooner than later, whether it's current funding, future funding, what's the prioritization, where's the money coming from now and later, and what does the timeline look like? So we've got a blueprint forward, right? So we're not talking a year from now, having not made progress, right? Let's define what that plan looks like and implement it well.
We're literally working on that with the committee as of this month and hopefully sharing that with you
Perfect.
soon.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
Quick question to piggyback. Are you going to be giving us a tiered, like this is tier one? Is that what the committee's going to be looking at?
So
Their
that
priorities?
wasn't necessarily the purpose of the original map. So this isn't replacing the trail prioritization plan. The trail prioritization plan took the original map and tried to chop that up into tiers. Those are still, from staff's perspective, those are still our marching orders. We're looking at tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 from the Deerfield area, from the Crabapple area, from those focus areas identified in the plan. This map is more of an aspirational document looking 20 years out, setting the requirements for when developments need to build the trail and setting up our discussion for the next round of major funding, either using existing funding or looking at T-SPLOST next year.
And the only feedback that I received since this meeting was any communication with Fulton County Schools regarding some of those connections that goes through the property or to the property. Not necessarily to do that tonight, but in the future, have those discussions with the county, just
Okay.
to see if that's something they want to do. Okay, cool. Anything else from council? Good. They're all good. We love the trail committee. They're doing a lot of good work, and hopefully we can start building some of these sooner than later.
Great.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. With that, there are no first presentation items. We'll now move on to the public hearing. Will the city clerk please stay on the next item?
Mayor, that item is consideration of the issuance of an alcohol beverage license to Red and Green LLC, doing business as Red Chili's Indian Cuisine, 610 North Main Street, Suite 100 here in Milton. It's agenda item number 25157. Our Deputy City Manager, Ms. Bernadette Harville.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight, we have one alcohol beverage license application for your consideration for Red and Green LLC. The application before you is due to a structural change in ownership, bringing in new partners. The business has also undergone a name change, but the location remains at 631 North Main Street, Suite 100. They are applying for wine and malt beverages with Sunday sales. This public hearing was advertised in the Milton Herald on June 5th and June 12th. Here you can see the location off of Highway 9 of the restaurant. The establishment is in compliance with the floor plan seating requirement, as well as the alcohol to food and other beverages sales ratios, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have about this item.
Any questions for Ms. Bernadette? Okay, do we have any public comment?
We do not, sir.
Okay, I will close the public hearing, and I will now open it for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve agenda item 25-157.
Second.
Okay, have a motion from Councilmember Cranmer and a second from Councilmember Jacobus to approve agenda item number 25-157. Voting's open. Okay, that motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
There are no zoning agenda items. We'll now move on to unfinished business. Will City Clerk please say on the item?
Mayor, that first item is consideration of an ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of Milton, Georgia, to adopt amendments to the fiscal year 2025 budget for each fund of the City of Milton, Georgia, amending the amounts shown in each budget as expenditures, amending the several items of revenue anticipations, prohibiting expenditures to exceed appropriations, and prohibiting expenditures to exceed actual funding available. The first presentation was at the June 2nd, 2025 regular City Council meeting, and it's agenda item number 25144. Our Deputy City Manager, Bernadette Harville.
Mayor and Council, we have this evening our second read of the 2025 amendments. We presented a detailed overview of the requested amendments during a public hearing at the meeting on June 2nd. So this evening, we'll just do a high-level overview and answer any questions you may have. The budget for this fiscal year was approved on September 16th, 2024, after a series of public meetings throughout the spring and summer, as well as a budget workshop in August and 2 public hearings that were held in September. On this page, you can see the summary for the general fund with the initial adopted budget on the left with revenues for fiscal year 2025 at $47.3 million and the proposed amendments at $1.2 million, resulting in an amended revenue anticipations in the amount of $48.5 million for fiscal year 2025. Some of those more significant changes in revenue anticipations were related to the collections for current year real property taxes, land disturbance permits, fines and forfeitures, title ad valorem taxes and intangible taxes, as well as the recognition of interest earnings related to invested ARPA funds. Moving down to the expenditures, you can see the current budget at $46.9 million with the proposed amendments at $21,954, which includes departments' expenditure requests, which will primarily be covered utilizing contingency funds with the exception of the changes resulting from dedicated revenue sources such as insurance premiums or donations. The fiscal year 2025 fund balance is currently projected to be $15,935,132, which exceeds the required reserve of 25% of the subsequent year's fund balance or budgeted revenues. At this time, staff has not made a request to transfer excess fund balance beyond that required reserve to the PAYGO program in the Capital Projects Fund as we await final feedback from the council on the Deerfield Park build-out, which will be based on price projections staff will bring back at an upcoming work session. So those funds will be allocated in a future council amendment or budget amendment approved by council. If you have no questions about the general fund, we'll move on to the special revenue funds. Here we have the special revenue fund summaries. You can see the original adopted budget on the left again with the requested amendments in gray and the total amended budget if all amendments are approved on the right. In the special events fund, we are recognizing vendor fees for Crabapple Fest and event sponsorship across multiple events. We also have fund balance in the confiscated assets fund, which is allocated when approved spending is incurred. Here you can see the request for $2,500 in eligible spending related to a new task force Milton joined along with Johns Creek and Forsyth County. And in the American Rescue Plan Act Fund, we have the recognition and transfer to the general fund of interest earnings. And as well, recall that those do not have the same restrictions as other funds within the ARPA fund. There are no questions about our special revenue funds. We'll move on to the capital projects. The main capital projects fund has a request for changes in revenue recognition related to tree recompense funds and insurance proceeds received in fiscal year 25 that will be allocated across corresponding expenditure accounts. We also have expenditure amendments for fire, public works, active and passive parks, and community development that we went over in detail on the second, with a total request for $145,199 when taking into consideration the use of $104,239 of contingency funds to cover some of these requests that do not have a dedicated revenue source. In the Green Space Bond Fund, interest revenues earned for investment of idle funds are being recognized in the Land Conservation Account. In the T-SPLOST Fund, we are budgeting for the grant related to the Safe Streets for All program, including $200,000 in anticipated local funding from True North 400. We are also recognizing a true-up of the revenue anticipations from the City of Roswell for the Cox Road Intersection Improvement Project, as well as insurance proceeds and allocating those revenues across corresponding project accounts within the expenditure section. In the capital grant fund, we have the recognition of supplemental LMIG funds, which have been allocated towards the city's pavement management program. And finally, we have the revenue bond fund and the amendments needed to recognize the arbitrage yield reduction payment due, including the use of final fund balance to close out this fund as all projects have now been completed. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thanks, Bernadette. Any questions for Bernadette? Do we have any public comment on this?
We do not, sir.
Okay, with that, I will open it for a motion.
Make a motion, we approve agenda item number 25-144.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Jacobus and a second from Councilmember Cookerly to approve agenda item number 25-144. Voting's open. Okay, that motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we'll now move on to the next item. Will you please sound that item?
Thank you, Mayor. That next item is consideration of an ordinance to restrict the use of fireworks near equine facilities, Section 11.7, noise control to the Unified Development Code for the City of Milton, Georgia. It was first presented on the June 2nd regular meeting, and it's agenda item number 25-147. Our zoning manager, Ms. Robin McDonald.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I was having a little technical difficulty, but it's coming up. Can never see this. Okay. So for a little bit of background, during the Georgia 2025 legislative session, Representative Jan Jones, along with others, sponsored a bill to allow governing authorities to adopt an ordinance prohibiting the use or ignition of consumer fireworks within 200 yards of a facility where equines are in a confined area. This bill was signed by Governor Kemp on May 14th, and the law becomes effective on July 1, 2025. By City Council adopting the language to be presented, further protection of Milton's equestrian population from consumer fireworks will be ensured. In addition, the city's verbiage provides clarification by defining what facility means. This proposed language would become effective on July 1. So this is a graphic that was provided by our GIS department that indicates all the areas that we know of farms that would have a 200 feet radius. So
200 yards, just for the record, 200 yards.
yes, I'm
correct?
sorry,
Okay.
200 yards. Yes, so 600 feet. So that's in general what it looks like. City staff proposes the following amendment to the Unified Development Code, which has been edited to include the definition of facility that was not in the published packet. So basically, when you make a motion, please refer to this that's being presented to you tonight to have the most accurate and latest version. Let's look at number B or letter B. This is the addition that we're proposing. It states it shall be unlawful for any person to use or ignite consumer fireworks as defined in OCGA 25-10-1A1 within 200 yards of a facility where equines are housed in a confined area. For the purposes of this ordinance, facility shall mean the parcel where one or more equines are kept or housed in a confined area. The 200-yard distance shall be measured from the outermost property line of the parcel where the equine housing is located. So letters A and the new C are what had been previously in our noise ordinance. So if you have any questions, we would be happy to answer any of them.
Thank you. Quick question, Steve. How does this relate to the commercial fireworks we see at Crooked Creek and Atlanta National and those areas?
Those wouldn't be impacted. They would be driven under the commercial aspect of that, which requires a state and a local application and permit. I don't think that we would have any issues with the distance either, regardless.
Okay, so this is consumer fireworks, correct? Okay.
The things that you would buy in the store.
Got it.
I have a question on that, please. We have some residents, one in particular, that hire professionals to put on displays at their homes. And so it may be outside of the 600 feet or something, but it's just a massive amount of noise. You would think that you're at a commercial event. Is there a noise ordinance on anything like this, or how do you control something like that?
Those also require permits. So if they're doing them without permits, they're acting unlawfully.
All right, that helps. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to say something on this one. I know as a horse owner, it's really important to our citizens, this ordinance is. In fact, we heard from Tim Enlow today about how he knows firsthand how devastating it can be to mix them together. And he's put a lot of passion and hard work. Just wanted to say how important this is.
And I want to thank the Equestrian Committee, especially Chair Tony Rich and Speaker Pro Tem Jan Jones for putting this together. It took many years, and we appreciate all the hard work. Do we have any public comment on this?
We do not, sir.
Okay, I'll close public comment, and I will, and quick question, Steve. Now, this is going into effect July 1st.
Correct.
So July 4th is 3 days away, and I think it's important that we this is the first year, so I think educating the public is going to be very important this year.
We have a very robust, Greg put together a very robust communications plan. It's a 3-tiered approach, which covers every base I could think of.
Okay, great. Good. Okay, with that, I will open it for a motion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve agenda item number 25-147.
Second?
Just real quick,
Yep.
Councilmember, would you mind just clarifying that that includes with the additional language that Robin put up on the screen?
As
Yes.
presented, yeah.
I make a motion to approve agenda item 25-147 with the additional language that was presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilor Cranmer and a second from Councilor Jacobus to approve agenda item number 25-147 with that additional language that Robin presented. All in favor, please make your motion or your vote. And that motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Thank you for your hard work. With that, I think we go to mayor and council reports, correct? Ms. Tammy, is that it?
We do.
Okay. Anybody have anything to report on, council? Hearing none, I'll have a motion to adjourn into executive session to
And
discuss
can we do that electronically?
the adjournment. Yep. Can I get a motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss personnel, land acquisition, and potential litigation?
Make a
Motion.
motion. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go
No,
ahead.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn to executive session.
Second.
All right, that's Haney and a second from Jacobus.
Thank you.
Thank you. Aye.
Well, hold on, one
Opposed?
quick.
So that was Doug and Jan. And then I'll get a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. All right, that's